Welcome to the PT Walkabout podcast, a podcast that serves to inspire and inform listeners about physical therapy. My name is Dr. Lynn Steffe, and I'm a PT business and marketing consultant, best known for traveling the country both in person and virtually to help kick off, improve, and grow businesses. I wanted to share the gift of incredible insight to vital issues in physical therapy from interesting colleagues nationwide. We will explore the business of physical therapy, the role of physical therapy in lifestyle medicine, and actually all things physical therapy in order to help you grow your business. This podcast is offered through the generous support of our sponsor, Alinea-engage. Alinea is on the forefront of digitizing your patient intake and driving loyalty before your patients even walk in the door. So good morning, Allie. We're in La Crosse, Wisconsin at the Wisconsin Physical Therapy Spring Conference, and I'm on Walkabout for PT, which I totally love doing. And I want to just say that I think that the best journeys answer questions that in the beginning you didn't even think to ask. And that's kind of where I'm always out wanting to ask questions and get people's perspectives. So first thing I wanted you to do is introduce yourself just briefly.
Yeah, so my name is Allison from Brevern. I'm currently a second-year physical therapy student at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse, and I will officially be heading out on my clinicals in less than a month. So I'm ready to get out there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't hardly remember what that was like, but I know it was like a combination of nervousness and excitement and kind of readiness to get out and use some of the information
Absolutely.
you use. But so how did you first develop an interest in physical therapy?
So I was always active growing up and always interested in overall health and wellness. And so I knew that that was a direction that I wanted to take. And looking more into the different health professions, I knew that I also really enjoyed the patient interaction aspect. In physical therapy, it just really seemed to fit the bill of I can spend a lot of time with my patients, really get to know them, and also get them back to doing things that they love. And that's just something, if I was injured, I couldn't imagine not being able to do the things that really bring me joy. So it's where I see myself as intervening in that part of their life and really promoting health and physical ability.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's such a great vision for physical therapy. I met you first in Washington, D.C. at the APTA Federal Affairs, and that was exciting. And I was fortunate to learn that you and I shared interest. And that interest is in lifestyle medicine. And so I have such a passion for how lifestyle medicine can be a part of what we do and what we deliver and the value we bring. But I think the one thing I learned from talking to you was a unique perspective on lifestyle medicine and mental health and how PT might fit there. Can you share a little bit of your how that came about for you and where you see that going?
Yeah, so I specifically got really interested in mental health because of my own journey. So then when I was going through class and realizing all these things, that we were really only taught like 3 questions to screen for depression. And after that, it was kind of like we would refer them, but then we never went into, okay, so if a patient has depression, how are we going to keep that in mind when we're prescribing them a treatment plan and working with them and all of those things. So personally, I think right now PT is really missing a whole area because, as we talked about, Lynn, like the brain is just another organ in the body. So if a patient has diabetes, okay, that's a disease of a different organ of the body. And so how do we integrate that into our treatment? We likely think about their insulin levels, about sugar, all of those things. But when it comes to mental health, we never really take, okay, so this patient has depression or has anxiety. Are they actually going to go home and implement this program? And how are they going to be motivated? So I think we're missing the bill on, one, how can PT influence mental health? We know that exercise is great for a variety of conditions, including those of the brain. And also, how is a patient's mental health potentially going to influence our care with them? And right now, I don't think it's even on the radar for a lot of therapists. And so ultimately, I think we're completely in some circumstances doing them a disservice because they're either not coming to us or we're not including it in their plan of care. And so I think it's something that all around, from education in schools to continuing education for practicing therapists, it can be an area where we can really expand, just like PTs are going into emergency rooms now. That's wasn't something that was happening in the past, and I think that that's definitely an area where PT can expand in the future.
So it sounds like you're saying, like, in everyday treatment, when we become aware of depression and anxiety, rather than just putting it down as a comorbidity or something in a patient's medical history, we should be aware of it in the way we approach them. And maybe we need more training and background
Right.
and specific strategies and ideas on how to do that, either through our, our preliminary or our entry-level education and our ongoing development. But I'm also interested in your comments about PT being involved in mental health as an intervention strategy.
Yes, so this interest really sparked in me when I came across an article about exercise interventions for, I think, depression, schizophrenia, and one other condition that I can't think of right now, but just the positive impact that it had, and that all of these patients, even just with the lightest amount of exercise, had decreased symptoms of their condition. And I think that, yes, when you have these conditions, you might not want to get up and go and exercise or go for a walk. I understand that, been there. But at the same token, it's such a valuable resource. And I think if they had that extra little motivation, it could be a stepping stone. And from there, hopefully a waterfall into, like, wow, so this is how it affects me. This is just great. And I don't even know, from what I know, PTs aren't in like behavioral health units, and they aren't in mental health facilities. And I think that that is just another area that we can expand, because we do know that it has positive effects. Exercise is great in so many areas for the body, including the brain.
I agree. I think occupational therapists are often in those areas, and they use other intervention strategies, but not necessarily activity and exercise. So I love your vision for that in the future, and I hope that we can stay in touch over the years
Absolutely.
and hear about your journey with that. And if you find resources out there or professionals that have a similar interest, please reach back to us, because I think it's an area that's amazing. When we look at the opioid crisis right now as it relates to pain, I'm not so sure that we're not going to find overprescription of medications in the mental health area in the future too, and start asking questions, what else? And that's where I think PT might come in. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Enjoy
Yes,
the
thank
conference,
you.
and thanks so much for being a part of this podcast.
Yes, thank you very
Take
much.
care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the PT Walkabout. Be sure to subscribe and share our podcast with your colleagues. We look forward to offering more great information to inspire you on the next episode of PT Walkabout.